All right, guys, so Stephen A. Smith went on the worst news show in America. That's, of course, Chris Cuomo's show on News Nation. And I have to say, this one threw me for a loop, man. This one was shocking to me. It shows how, look, there are some commentators who are online too much, but then there's also the opposite problem of certain commentators who are just not online at all, and it makes it so that they can swing and miss in such a colossal way that it's hard to wrap your mind around. So here's Stephen A. Smith. And remember, this is a guy who's flirted with running for president in 2028, running in the Democratic primary. I don't think he's actually going to do it, but he was flirting with that and getting a lot of press over it. But here he is on Chris Cuomo's show on News Nation. And listen to what he says about the Epstein files. Here we go.
If you're a Republican, if you're the GOP, I mean, the big, beautiful bill was just passed, even though the deficit is going to escalate from 3.3 trillion over 5 trillion, assuming you believe the Congressional Budget Office and all of this other stuff. I mean, with all of these things that's going on, with the 2017 tax cuts reserved, with so much stuff that's going on that the left didn't want to happen, that you on the right said you wanted to happen, with the borders being closed, supposedly that being handled, with migrants being escorted out of this country in droves, according to you, and what you wanted. You're in an uproar off the Epstein list. That's all you've got.
He's framing this as a way to attack Democrats, Stephen A. Smith is. But here's the thing. It actually was not the Democrats who sort of led the charge against this. In fact, at the beginning, you had some Democrats who also were on the page. Richie Torres said this on CNN. He was like, shut up about the Epstein files. Like, Richie Torres was like, yeah, I don't know why we're talking about this. A bunch of Democrats said that. A bunch of Democrats thought that. In fact, that was their position all along. I was losing my mind because that was their position during the election. We got the story that Trump was best friends with Epstein for over a decade, and Kamala didn't bring it up. Tim Walz didn't bring it up. I was losing my fucking mind. So he's using this to attack Democrats, but the reality is it is not just Democrats who talked about this. Republicans are furious over this. Independents are furious over this. The difference is Republicans are going after Pam Bondi in particular and not Trump. They're blaming Pam Bondi and not Trump for Trump covering up the Epstein files. But he's not done yet. He's going to swing and miss even harder. Let's watch.
It's really, really surprising that this matters. Of course, I think there's a list, but I don't know. I suspect, but I have no knowledge, nor do I care. It's Friday night. I'm getting ready to go out and enjoy myself. I'm getting ready to have a nice weekend. I can give a damn about the Epstein client list. This has no effect on me whatsoever. I have a life. I don't understand for the life of me why this matters so much to these. I'm talking about people losing it. They're crying on camera. They're talking about resignations. They're pissed off about everything. I'm like, really? With all the stuff going on in this country, with all the power that you possess because of the cachet and the influence you have because of your connection to this administration. That's why you upset at Trump. I didn't blame Trump one bit for looking at them and saying, really? That really matters to you? That's really that important? Now, maybe he had a different reason for saying it, trying to be evasive or whatever. I don't know. But I do know this. In the grand scheme of things, it ain't going to affect the lives of over 200 to 300 million Americans. I think we'll be just fine without knowing whether or not there was really, really a client list. I think we'll be okay. It's unbelievable that this is a big deal to me.
What this tells me is that he has no idea what the allegations actually are against Epstein. It's not like, hey, here's some guy who is basically a pimp and he runs a brothel and a bunch of famous people or politicians or both went there. That's not the claim. But that seems to be what Stephen A. Smith thinks the claim is against Epstein. No, the claim against Epstein goes a lot deeper than that, and it's a lot darker than that. The idea is, here's a guy who basically ran a honeypot operation. He worked for foreign intelligence. The allegation specifically is for Israel. So he was part of Israel's CIA, which is called Mossad. And what they did is they systematically, over the course of decades, got in close with U.S. elites. Again, whether it be sports stars, movie stars, celebrities, business people, political people. And obviously having that dirt on business people and political people in the long run could pay dividends if, say, one of them runs for president and ends up winning, right? And so the idea was he was basically the CEO of Elite Pedo Sex Crimes Incorporated. He had a literal private island where Lord only knows how terrible the things are they did there. There's been some documentaries on this where you have women who were victims explaining in detail, in horrific detail, what happened to them, and they were passed around, and they were underage, basically, sex workers were exploited and raped, and it was Jeffrey Epstein who ran the whole fucking thing. And so if you're part of a foreign intelligence agency and you have Bill Clinton on video doing X, Y, and Z crime with an underage girl, you have Donald Trump on video and pictures doing X, Y, and Z with underage girls, you have, whatever politician, whatever business person, etc., well, then that person is compromised to the point where, I don't know, say you can have one of these people who has blackmail on them continue to arm you and fund you, give you an endless amount of weapons, tens of billions of dollars on a regular basis to continue to do a genocide in Gaza, take over the entire West Bank and steal it from Palestinians there, bomb Iran on your behalf. You can basically get anything and everything you want if there's enough dirt that's sufficient where they say, look, I'll do anything to make that dirt not come out. And it's like, okay, well, then here's the list of the things we want you to do. That's the allegation, right? That's the allegation. Now, of course, in the right's mind, they bastardized all of it and made it seem like it was somehow only going to be dirt on Democrats, and it was only Democrats who were customers with Epstein, and nonsense, but that's how they warped it in their mind. But the reality is, of course, this is a big deal. Of course, this is a huge deal. And it sort of captured the imagination of people because it feeds into, the sense that there's deeper, darker forces at work than what's just available at face value. And also that it connects directly to the people who we know, who we have seen in power and are in power, whether it be Bill Clinton or Donald Trump. So yeah, that's why it matters, dude. Is okay, so if Israel gets another $50 billion and Trump launches an even bigger war against Iran, is maybe part of it the fact that they're like, hey, we'll release the shit we have on you from Epstein if you don't fucking do it. Like, that could play a role. I mean, I say that, but at the same time, I also feel like Trump is just a warmonger and he's okay with doing those things anyway, regardless. But they could play the carrot or the stick game with him because they have dirt on him. He is compromised, bro. And so this is very, huge swing and a miss here from Stephen A., who, I don't know, it seems to me like he doesn't understand what the actual allegations are against Epstein. He just thinks, Epstein was just a pimp and maybe had some, famous people or wealthy people who came and used his services. It's that is not it. It goes way, way deeper than that. And how do you not see that? And look, to the rest of his argument there, I agree, Stephen. Those other things are it's a huge deal that we have Alligator Auschwitz open in this country and they're opening 5 more concentration camps. It's a huge deal that 17 million Americans lost their health care because of Trump's big bullshit bill. I agree. We can talk about all that and we can talk about this, right? I don't think it's either or. It's not let's only talk about Epstein and not talk about, it's got to talk about all of it. But he seems to think downplay the Epstein thing, it really doesn't matter. And that's just a naive perspective in my opinion. Because when you have somebody running a blackmail operation that's part of a foreign intelligence agency and he has dirt on our current sitting president, I don't know, I think that's hyper relevant. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.